So in this video, I wanted to show you guys, or really remind you, how to translate from the plan to the grid. So translate this information that you've got in plan view into your grid. So you might be using your 1-point perspective, or you might be using your 2-point perspective. It doesn't really matter which one you use, but I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. So this exercise asks you to do a couple of thumbnails, so little sketches. So thumbnail sketches are really quick and messy, and they can be smaller than this, but I find a lot of students need to kind of work at this distance. So remember, when you're doing these sketches, I would start off with, say with your 1 point, I would start off with my space. Remember, that's parallel to the picture plane. Locate my vanishing point and begin to draw in the space, and then look at where is it? My little plan view. Oh, here it is, right here. And see what information I've got, and begin to pop in the bed, the bedside tables. So I'm projecting always from that vanishing point to kind of locate these bits of information. This chair's on an angle, I'll go through that in a minute. That's sort of a bit different from the 1 point. But I can begin to build up my little thumbnail sketch in the space and get an idea of how it's going to look. So it's not measured. A thumbnail sketch is not measured. I'm being very rough, but I've got an idea of what is going to happen here, and being extremely rough now. But yeah, there's one I prepared earlier. So yeah, I've got my little 1-point thumbnail, and I've done a little 2-point thumbnail. So remember, with the 1 point, I've got my picture plane parallel. With the 2-point, I'm looking into the corner, excuse me. Got a little bit of Rona, I think. Yeah, I'm looking into the corner. So I want to be placing my corner there first, getting a horizon line, a couple of vanishing points, and begin to make your space. Make it nice and wide so you can fit your furniture in. So I'm working back across those vanishing points. So hopefully this reminds you a bit, but you've also got the videos that we did to construct the grids. It's all exactly that same information. So yeah, that's how I would go about doing that. That's how I've done these couple here. So that gives me an indication of, okay, in a 2-point view, I'm going to see the bedding and the curtains, which for your project is important. In this 1-point version, I get 3 walls. And let's say I've got an artwork here on the wall that I want to show. Maybe it's advantageous for me to go with this one. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's my thumbnail sketches. Then it's all come from this very important plan. So by now you should have your plans finalized. So all of the furniture is where it's going to be. Once that is in place, you then come across and put a grid over the top. Obviously this is just a not your best copy. Make a photocopy of it or run another copy of it, so you can place this grid over the top. I've measured it out at 1 to 50. Each one of these squares is 1 meter by 1 meter. Okay, because remember, our grid is 1 meter by 1 meter. So then what I can do is begin to count these and plot them down. So get myself a nice myself a pen that's a little finer than that one, and I'm going to tackle that chair in a minute, but I'm going to look at the bed to start off with. So the first thing I have is my bed is sitting pretty much right, the halfway mark is right there on that third square over, and it goes to nearly the end of that one. So I'm going to count over 3 and then come back, and so the edge of my bed is there, and then it comes all the way over to nearly this one here. That's where those 2 points are. So the first thing will be my bed head. And then my bed, the length of it comes down 1, 2 and a bit. 1, 2 and a bit. So it's going to finish somewhere there. So I can put myself a little line through this here. And then I'm going to take these points back to that vanishing point. And this will smudge, try and give it some air to dry so I'm not too smudgy for you guys. And then that bit. And that includes, this bed includes the bed head, and everything is up in there because it's the furthest thing away from us. It's going to be hard to see, so I'm not going to mark it in there as such, although you could. So remember, this is the way we start. We need to start off with all our, if these were little squares, when we did the little boxes in the exercise a couple of weeks ago, we had just boxes and squares. Now we've got boxes and squares that actually are going to be furniture. So it's the same principle, we're just expanding it a little. So my next thing to place would be these bedside tables. So they're right next to this bed, and then I'm just going to estimate this one comes out nearly half a square and this one not quite. So this one, and they're halfway down this square because they're about 500. So if I put myself a couple of marks this way, that's how long they are, which as you can see is not very long when it's sitting in the space, sitting next to the bed. So it's coming straight back there. And what did I say? It's about the same distance over there. So that's him sitting there against the wall. And then this one, again, he's going to come nice and close to the bed, and it's sitting out about halfway through this square. So it's measured, but it's not like down to the millimeter. We've got a little bit more room to play, I guess, with our perspectives as opposed to the floor plan. We can be a little bit more free. Then I have an ottoman at the end of the bed, so let's place him in. He's going to be easy because he's the same width as the bed, and we're coming down just a bit over halfway through this square here. So I put my line in there and back to the vanishing point there and back to the vanishing point here. Okay, so once you've got all the footprints down, remember then you can begin to project up and find the height. So what I would need to do, for example, with that bed is go, okay, I can measure from the back wall. The average height of a bed is around 600. So I'm going to measure up 600 here. That's 5, that's 6 there. And if I had my T-square handy, which I kind of didn't, but I do now, then I can pop that in there. And I know that's the height of my bed. And of course, once you've got that wall, you can project out from these points of intersection. Remember, everything's going back to that vanishing point. If you've got a diagonal line that's not going back to the vanishing point, it's probably going in the wrong direction. I can do these verticals up from these points till it hits there. Oops, that was my ottoman. That's fine, I'll need that line in a minute. This one's the bed. That one's the bed. And then these two should join up. Now my ottoman I'm going to make a little lower. So you can just proportionally guess them, or you can measure it exactly back at the wall. So for example, if I wanted to make my ottoman 400 high, I could measure it down here, put a little mark at 400. Oops, that's 500. 400's that one. And come from the vanishing point out to there, and I know that that there is a 400 for the ottoman. So I'm building up all these boxes on top of boxes. It does get confusing, expect that, but just have your little piece of paper that you can slot in up the top, like I've showed you in the past, to make it a bit easier for you to see. If I could just get that lip up, I'll be right. So yeah, I've got my bed sides over the back there, my ottoman at the front, my bed here. So once I have all those boxes done, then I can come in again with another piece of yellow trace and turn those boxes into, say, a bed and an ottoman. So this ottoman, for example, could have some, give him some round sort of timber legs. He might be one of those paper cord, beautiful Great Dane kind of ottomans that are not upholstered but have some texture maybe. And then, you know, my bed, I can give him a bed head. I would measure that, of course. I can put my pillows onto the bed. Remember, like I said, to always bring them down the bed, make them a little, make your bed feel like you want to get in it. Be a little messy, or, you know, depending on your style that you're going for. Could do something like this with my quilt. Whoops, comes over to there. I'm going to see that. I will see a bit of thickness to this. So that is the process that I'm doing all these boxes, building up the heights, then coming over to get my beautiful drawing. So just to remind you of the grid on your plan, then the boxes, then the final beautiful drawing. Okay. One thing I wanted to show you is, if you've got a chair on an angle, which a lot of you will have and do, how to plot that, and it's exactly the same. I would plot these points, all these corners of the chair. Okay, so if I look at this, I've got one point that's sort of midway there. I've got another point that's kind of midway here. He just clips over this one and this one. So then my square on the floor, you'll notice becomes a bit of a 2-point perspective. So you could sort of put a point over here on your horizon line, and use those now for this chair, because what you've got is a 2-point perspective sitting within a 1-point. Okay, so that chair's sitting in 2-point perspective because we've got the corner. It's not all straight in the space, it's on the corner. So that's how you plot that. And then the same thing, you work out the height against the back wall. So let's say my chair's 800. 800 at 1 to 50 is 5, 6, 7, 8, this height. So that would be how high that back corner is. So that's the height of this corner here. And then now that I've got that point of intersection, I'm going to use that via this vanishing point over here, because we're in 2-point perspective, and that'll keep him nice and parallel, because remember we want a cube. Once we have our cube that's all sitting together, looking correct, then we can make our chair, whoops. So this can get quite complicated, but it's only as complicated as you make it. So try, if you're feeling overwhelmed, go back to the basics that we did last week with making those grids, and that should help you kind of get all your boxes. So that's my chair on an angle sitting there. So obviously 800 is the back of the chair, and the seat will be much lower, but you can kind of work that out proportionally. So for example, I put my bed back in here. Where is he? Down there. That looks right. So my arms might come down lower like this. I'll see a bit of thickness to those arms. Remember, everything has some thickness and depth to it. My seat, and then the back is what's 800. I might have a cushion sitting in there, so maybe I don't see all that back bit anyway. But yeah, so then I've got a little chair sitting there. Okay. So it's this process of the grid underneath, the boxes on top, doing all the footprints first, then working out the height, and so on and so forth, building up your room. So I could put in a box for my rug if I wanted. If I was doing it all exactly by the book. I haven't done my little bedside tables, but I think you get the gist. Yeah, my side of my bed would be there. I could do my rug here. Of course, I'm following this line for my rug. That's how it is projected out. It comes all the way to here. And it comes down halfway down to here. So see that sort of sharp angle I've got there, and that's to do with the angle of my perspective. But then it's going to be good for me because I'm going to have my curtains coming down here. Remember to give yourself with your curtains, they come onto the floor a bit, and nice straight lines for our S folds. I think a lot of you are doing S folds, so there'll be nice straight lines. You can give this a bit of curve on the bottom and also on the top in the other direction, like so, to get that lovely S fold, but lovely straight lines. And they can get a little wider closer to us, and then obviously a little more detail closer to us as well. But I hope that helps you to sort of conceptualize in your head the process to go about the next exercise.